Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
This is Charles.
I'm Seth.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Chris.
I'm Mark.
And today we're going to be talking about Black Widow, in case you couldn't tell by Chris's wonderful background.
This stud. This guy right here.
Yeah, he actually built. Chris actually built that. That's a wax model. You can work at Madame Tussauds,
right? The Red Guardian.
Yes.
I was actually thinking how I want Seth to cosplay as him.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Please, Seth, for the love of God, just cross over. You've been dipping your toes.
He has been.
Mm-hmm.
That was a toe, wasn't it?
Cosplay.
That was a toe, wasn't it? It's hard to tell with that kilt you wear.
Well, that would be a really warm thing to wear.
Perfect for those Russian winters.
Yes.
That we currently experience.
I mean,
that you'd be pretending you're in.
Right. With Siberia on fire, it's unlikely you'd get cool enough to wear that up there.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting him to actually kind of look okay when he came out of the bathroom in that suit.
I know.
Yeah,
We were showing him putting it on. He's like,
that work. He stuffed himself in there.
if they can make super soldiers, they can make super fabric to contain them.
But I mean,
oh my gosh.
It's not like he was being well fed at that prison.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
so
spoiler alerts. Let's throw that out there at the beginning.
right. So if you haven't seen Black Widow, get out there and do it. It's in the theaters and it's on Disney Plus. And coincidentally, because it's in theaters and on Disney Plus, Scarlet Johansson's suing Disney, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
her contract did not cover them, did not give her a cut of the streaming profits.
It's such baloney. I cannot believe that they did that to her. Like,
I can. It comes down to greed a little bit.
yeah.
And it comes down to, we made an agreement and your agreement did not include, streaming services or whatever. Now, I don't agree with the fact that they did it, but I could absolutely see that happening. And I don't think she'll be the first or the last that this comes to be a thing. Now, what I'm curious to know about is, was it only after earnings reports after Black Widow was released that she decided to sue, or was this an issue that came up before it was released? Because it's not like you wouldn't have seen this coming in terms of the earnings and stuff. So I'm curious how much pull she's going to have to get what she wants. Well, what she deserves, not necessarily what she wants, but I do struggle with that a little bit. Like, was it only worth suing after the fact, or, you knew what was in your contract before this was released? So
Yeah, but I thought that Disney had also promised her that they wouldn't release it on streaming.
Yep, that's why it took so long to get
so
released.
and if that's the
for 2
case,
years.
then she's got something worth maybe that's why the suit became a thing. But if they promised it and they went ahead and did it, this I would have expected this to be basically a showstopper before they even released it because of a pending lawsuit kind of thing, right. As opposed to they did it knowing that she would just come back and sue them, because that's not a good look.
Yeah, the downstream effects of the pandemic too. I doubt that Scarlett Johansson was thinking that the movie would be released so much longer after
Mhm.
it completed production and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
this was supposed to release a year ago or more.
Yeah, and another reason I got pushed up, I guess, is because you have the Hawkeye series coming, and that's going to have some spoilers for the movie. And Hawkeye, I think, is scheduled for later this year, so they had to release Black Widow.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
delaying it anymore.
Yeah, so they couldn't delay it anymore, and so I just, I don't know who knew what when. Obviously, we know what was in the contract, which was you only get paid for what is in the theaters release, which, by the way, I think is, her cut that she's already gotten is like $20 million or something like that. So I don't have as much sympathy as I probably feel I'd like to have. But did she get screwed out of what she was rightfully owed? Absolutely.
I'm kind of surprised, though, in this day and age, that if you're an actor and you're negotiating a contract, that you're not considering potential streaming revenue.
No.
Well, and that was because it just happened before that was a thing, as far as the contract.
This was before COVID. This is
but the contract was pre-COVID. So
yeah.
I know, but streaming's been out there for.
But
it has been, and that's where I have concern. That's where I say I don't know who knew what when, because they had to have known that was coming. So with the delays and then the simultaneous release with theaters and streaming, why weren't people going back and renegotiating their contracts? If something was delayed or they even considered it, how did neither party sort this out before it happened, as opposed to letting it go to a lawsuit?
Because I'm thinking
forgetting that
a lawsuit might be cheaper.
No one was doing simultaneous release. Everything started in the theater. Movie theaters were a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course it wasn't going to be in the contract.
Right.
I know that as far as the contract, but the contract's been in place for such a long time that by the time we got to this point, when we're talking about the release, how did neither party go back and either renegotiate or get this figured out before it even happened? Because you've got at least a year and a half between when that contract was probably signed and when this happened. So
because in my mind, even 5 years ago, if you're signing up to do a movie, I understand you're going to get a cut of the theater take, right?
Yep.
But wouldn't you also negotiate a cut of the ongoing streaming revenue? I mean, there's a lot of actors that are in series get residuals from episodes that replay over and over again, right? That go into reruns.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the contract, but there are different line items for how much percentages you get on replays versus what you get with premieres.
Yeah, I suppose.
And what pisses me off about how this is going to get spun, this is a gamble for her, because if an actor had released footage of a studio thing on streaming ahead with the simultaneous of a theater release, the studio would actually go after them, no problem.
Nuke them from orbit,
basically ruin them. And the other aspect of this is but because it's an actor going after a big studio, they're going to spin it that she's a selfish bitch. And being a woman trying to get what's cut for her, women who do this are generally negative. Like the backlash tends to be harsher on women in situations like this.
Do you think I agree? And she's already been in, I won't say controversial hot water, but she's in and out of the news. She's not always looked at in a positive light. So I think she is sticking her neck out on the line here. But I think she's doing what she needs to do. I think it's right.
Do you think in this day and age, though, with all the woke stuff going on, that people are going to take Disney's line on that she's being a selfish bitch?
Yes.
I do, unfortunately.
Well, she can always go back to doing movies for Woody Allen.
Well, she's pretty much the only one who can really bring this lawsuit.
She is right now. Yeah.
Well, consider the rest of the actors in the movie who probably also are in the same situation. They could all have future work with Marvel Studios and whatnot. Black Widow's role is now over, so she doesn't have as much to lose as anybody else.
No.
Meanwhile,
this is where we should see other co-stars that have maybe a little bit of pull. Your David Harbour, who plays the Red Guardian in this, should be If he hasn't, not that I've seen, if he hasn't gone out and said something already in support of her in that, because potentially it was a thing for him. But I think the last thing I saw was that he didn't know it was going to be a thing either. So
and with Rachel Weisz, she's a big actress. She's done a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wasn't she in, or which actress are you talking about?
Melina, Rachel
The wife.
Weisz. God,
Oh
the
yeah,
Mummy?
she was in the Mummy, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know actors' names.
He only knows the men's names.
No, but she's done a lot of she's done sci-fi, she's done historical fiction, God, I can never remember that Greek woman's name, the great mathematician who ended up unfortunately getting murdered in her own time.
Hypatia.
Yep, she played that role. I mean, she's done interesting, not as big blockbuster, but really well known. Her acting is amazing.
Yeah, she's really good. I like her in everything I've seen her in.
So let me ask this. And then
Has Disney said there's hurt feelings? There might not be. This might just be like a corporation. In my business, people get sued all the time, and there's no hard feelings over it.
Right, and so to Charles's point, I guess one thing I'd be curious about is how do we think that this is going to go? Do you think Disney just oh yeah, our bad, here's a check, and be done with it, move on, no hard feelings, or are there hard feelings, and we see maybe you're dead in the series now, what do we care?
I don't think there's going to be hard feelings because it's a business. Disney is a corporation, but I don't think they want the precedent of paying her out for this.
They're a corporation, but there's a brand to protect, right?
Yeah,
Disney's bigger than Marvel, but there's a Marvel brand to protect there. Now, I'm curious. We've already killed your character off. We have one final movie, and then we're done with you.
I've already seen
an
Disney
exec somewhere that really
she's
just doesn't care.
That she's being selfish for COVID, that she's willing to put her fans at risk. That's how Disney is spinning it now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck them.
I think that she should. It should be more. She just gets a cut. Should just be spinning it. No, I agree. What I'm owed for the cut of the streaming sales.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of, we put the money directly into Disney's hands yesterday. Seth and I watched it through the streaming service. So Scarlet, if you watch this, I apologize.
No, I did too. And frankly, I think I think she deserves a cut.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, I don't know how it got to this point without neither party talking about it beforehand. Or they did.
Could have been talking about it.
It could have been talked about, and they told her to get wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it got to this point because they made the contract beforehand, COVID hits, and they don't have any leverage at this point, right? They've got their contract. Disney's like, we're delaying the release of your movie. And, they could say, hey, we want any part of the streaming cut. But they're like, we have film, bite me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But now they're up against the release of they want to release Hawkeye. So they're kind of out of time waiting for COVID to pass.
Yeah.
Right.
Should we talk about the movie itself?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. We absolutely should.
There's also a movie.
So fun fact: Mark has only seen 6 of the Marvel movies.
Yeah. So often I feel like the stories are a little disjointed, and I think it might be because they're filled with Easter eggs, and I don't know what they are, and they just look like little globules.
Just references to the past movies, Mark.
Yes.
It's time to watch everything in
me.
order, Mark. Everything.
That's what I told him. He by admitting this, he has said that he will be watching all the Marvel movies with us.
I'm taking a week of vacation and watching the 70 hours of movies necessary.
I feel like we're at 100 because then you also have to see WandaVision. You have to see Loki. You have to see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay. Yeah. So, I've got my.
Mark's just going to retire.
I'm just going to retire. I'll be an unpaid position.
Retire and watch Marvel.
I mean, that sounds pretty good, really.
Yeah. Maybe you could become a Marvel reviewer. Start your own podcast. Mark's movie mayhem, and you just
Oh my goodness, Mark's Marvel movie mayhem.
there you go.
What he doesn't know is that
Maybe Mondays.
before we start, he's gonna have reading homework where I just like bring him a stack of trade paperbacks.
Yes. So,
Mark, what
anything
did you
I
think
say
of
about
Black
any
Widow
of these
overall?
movies?
What'd you think of it?
I don't know. I think it started out strange, right? So the first scene in the movie, it's a flashback. You know, they're going back and seeing
Like
Scarlet
1980
Johansson's
something
character.
or maybe
As a kid.
1995.
1995.
Yeah. 1995 in Ohio. And we're like, we're in this scene for a minute before you finally get the context. They're like, oh, okay, all right, this is this is the main character. And of course, the movie is called Black Widow. So you know, but you're like, they don't really say it in the story. And so
The
it's like,
actress that they got to play her as a child was actually had a
was
really
pretty good.
resemblance.
I feel like that
Yeah.
was Mila Jovovich's daughter, and I actually want to look that up real quick because she looked like a young Mila Jovovich.
yeah. But anyway, it's just started a little slow before it kind of got into the context of what's going on. And then once it got into it, the action was awesome and all that. But there were some shots that were kind of shot interestingly. I think some of the CG, it looked like they were, standing in a green screen.
Yeah,
a couple of times.
There was some green screen in the last some cinematography in the last third of the movie that should just be inexcusable for a movie that's been in post-production for this long.
Yeah, and so
like the scenes where they're falling through the air just look so incredibly fake, and I'm like, come on, Disney and Marvel, you're better. You are better than this. YouTube channels can do better than this now.
So do you think we're going to see more of her sister?
I think so.
I do in
we're at least
Hawkeye.
going to see her in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Is she
there is
gonna
at the end of it, there is a scene that they add in that alludes to Hawkeye and basically her sister is given this tablet that says, if you want to know who's responsible for her death, because obviously she dies in Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
Natasha, that is, Black Widow, and she gives Natasha's sister a photo of Hawkeye, and then that kind of ends the movie there. So we know that's where that's leading next. So I'd expect them to kind of reunite that storyline with the Hawkeye series when that comes out.
Yeah, so those of us who watched Winter Soldier would recognize like the lady who came to meet Natasha's sister in the graveyard. We would recognize her as oh man, I'm so bad with names. And I say what?
Valentina.
Yeah, Valentina. She was the one who was getting the U.S. Patriot, setting him up after he kind of blew his shot at being Captain America.
Seeing what I didn't. So what I appreciate that, as Mark would call it, an Easter egg that has no reference for you. So like I haven't finished watching, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So when she shows up, it's kind of like, oh, what's the significance of this person? And that connectedness or whatever is starting to make it hard to kind of just jump in and watch a Marvel movie, because those things end up lost on the audience when somebody shows up and you know that person as the actor, but you don't know who they necessarily tie into, why this person is important. So there's less impact for the watchers. So I don't know if they just need to do a better job of not throwing in just those little hints, or you really do need to just buckle down and watch all of the Marvel content before you get to the next release.
Well, and I think it's probably necessary at this point. One of the big things starting out the movie that kind of threw me off, and I was like, Seth, what the hell, is why is Black Widow on the run right now?
Yeah, and because it takes place right after Avengers Civil War.
Right?
But
Yeah.
you kind of have to catch up to that as you're watching. You're like, wait, when exactly does this happen? And they hint to it like it's after this, but it's before the next Avengers movie where you see Black Widow with blonde hair, because they have a scene in there where she's looking at changing her hair color. I'm like, oh, okay, so that puts it after this, but before this. But to that point, yeah, you really have to know your Marvel history and timelines to kind of wrap that together. It's great that they're doing it from this big saga and world building kind of thing, but it's hard for anybody just to jump in and get the significance of those scenes.
I mean, how many, like, aside from Mark, like, there aren't a lot of people who are watching Black Widow, like, streaming, who aren't connected into the universe. They're not just like, oh, well, let's watch this Black Widow movie. I'm sure
Hey, for as many shots as they had of her from behind, there could be plenty of people watching it.
That's fair. Okay, so
well, for those people,
we need to talk about that.
About
the
storyline.
Black Widow is the only movie where that would get my attention, and it's blatant. Okay, there are shots that are done that are not done in any other movie that are literally to get her chest up or ass down. Okay, and they're very specific on that, and you notice it.
Yeah, I only watched.
There's no reason to shoot it at that level.
I only watched the movie for her landing.
Yeah.
I liked how her sister made fun of that landing.
Yes.
And then did it.
She did. I enjoyed the fact that they poked fun at that, and they really drove that home. Even to the point where there's a scene near the latter part of the movie where her sister tries the landing and then just kind of gets up and is like, oh,
gross.
And that's what I thought they did really well with this. Like, I was a little concerned they were going to dial it in on the dialogue, but I felt the dialogue was very clever, and every piece felt just right.
It did. And I thought they did a really good job with them as sisters. That felt pretty genuine.
The family stuff
between them. Especially with the sister, them not always getting along, obviously when they first reunite, and they beat the living piss out of each other in the home was actually I was surprised. I expected more blood from that fight than there actually was, given that they were throwing themselves through cabinets and the walls and the works.
Yeah, so, actually, point of confusion for me too. They are superhuman then, because like the things that they're falling and hitting and all that stuff, there's no way that like she's got a couple of like bruises on her back.
Right.
Yeah, she's from this movie. The Black Widows are clearly superhuman.
Yeah.
They've
been
like, that wasn't a normal amount of damage taking. That's like throwing her through cement walls, and people don't like the cement doesn't break, people break.
Right.
Yeah. So that wasn't something that I knew already, right? Like I thought her and Hawkeye were our quote vanilla.
That's
kind of what it was supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be, and this opened up the door to make it a little bit more like the Black Widows to some extent have either been genetically, psychologically, insert whatever, enhanced to some degree. But yeah, they're supposed to be vanilla.
But Seth, I have seen an image where a tornado is blown through a town. A tornado, it could have been Photoshop, but a tornado blew through a town and it blew a piece of hay, a straw.
That's common.
Halfway through a telephone pole.
Well, yes. But...
So if you threw a human hard enough.
Okay, look, we're not saying that it's impossible for the human to go through, but the fact that they're getting up and still carrying a conversation after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
You give a human enough sit-ups.
All right, so that
through.
Yeah, the scene where they're driving that car and then it gets wrecked and smash, roll, smash down into the subway system.
Yeah.
And then they just both get out like, well, that was
okay. No, well, yeah. So they would have had probably a concussion for sure. Her sister technically did get injured. She was
an owie,
from the arm. She didn't walk away unscathed, but there should have been like bleeding from the head or something. That or BMWs are just that safe.
I want to know what manufacturer car that was because
it was a BMW.
Yeah, the cab was still
Thank you,
perfectly
Chris,
intact.
of
You can see their butts when they're coming down out of this.
It's like a
wasn't even
BMW
moving magic. They
X3
just
or
did that with
X5
the
series.
car.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a safe car. Go ham in that.
Oh, there you go.
But I mean, back to the theme of the movie was kind of family, right?
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job there. Like when they were all back around the dinner table, and Natasha's like, "We're not family," and Melina's like, "Sit up straight, don't slouch." I don't slouch. Like they just fell into that, and it was pretty good. I liked those.
And that's what I mean from that aspect. That's part of the internal struggles that the character building that they're doing. As Mark mentioned, it starts out in 1995 as kind of this family, your typical Russian plant in the U.S. To steal secrets, in this case from SHIELD. And fast forward to they escape to Cuba in the beginning of the movie, and the kids end up getting taken away for whatever special programs, and the family split up, and they reunite in this movie and have to deal with those issues, as well as taking down the main bad guy. I forget his name.
Driver.
Yes.
Driver.
Yes. And they have to find this place called the Red Room.
Did anyone else get the vibe that he was a Russian Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah.
I kind of got that gooey creepiness off of him.
And he had some lines at the end too, where it's like, it's clear this guy is just like creepy.
I want to see a candid interview about the conversation they had where Black Widow is standing in front of him, and he is literally in her face, just going on this dialogue. And I want to know if that was scripted or whether he just approached her to be that close, because that was uncomfortably close, even for me, just watching it, him having that conversation. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And I think that had to be intentional, because just some of the things that he said, about women being the only resource the world has too much of, or
the only renewable resource.
I think they were really playing up that creepy, hateful, guy sits alone in his floating castle situation.
Or not alone, unfortunately, the way you see Melina winch every time he comes near her or touches her.
Well, that wasn't Melina though. That was
that's right. That was Scarlet.
Yeah,
maybe that's how he knew it was her, is because she did winch.
Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
But I mean, she like that. I wanted to talk about that scene because that was clearly also still her playing him, though. That was a great callback to Avengers, remember?
Where she got Loki to reveal his plan.
Well, also from her introduction in Avengers, where she's like tied to the chair, getting the shit.
Her.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Not Nick.
He's about to spill everything. I wasn't about to spill it. She's like.
Yeah, and then she played Loki, and that was a great callback to that scene. It's just like, oh, thanks for cooperating so much, except you just weren't strong enough. Wham! breaks her own nose.
That was hard.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And I like how when she starts laughing, so he starts to beat her down, and she's just kind of got this smirk on her face, like, you are so weak.
Well, I mean,
I'm like, and initially I didn't understand what she was going to. Obviously, they alluded to she's trying to break her nose and sever the nerve, her sense of smell there. Because in the movie she tries to attack him and she can't, because he's got some they're programmed that when they smell his pheromones they
also
can't
gross.
Yeah. So she's got to break her nose, so she starts taking a beating with her face, and she's not really blocking him at all. And the whole time I'm like, what is she doing? And then later it becomes clear she's trying to have him bust her nose up, and so she ends up having to do it herself. And I don't know that I could do that, honestly. Even
I liked the symbolism of that though too, right? Where she's taking the best that he can give, and she's stronger than that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're just like,
we've seen her in 3 car accidents in this movie, get thrown into and through walls, take hits that send her flying for 20 to 30 feet or more. And there's this old kind of dumpy guy who's going to punch her in the face a couple times. Of course she's not feeling that.
Yeah.
And here's where I'll say the movie, I'm glad there was some more equality in filming for this, for a more mainstream. Let's be honest, a lot of people get really uncomfortable when women are hit.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that this was an action movie, a family action movie that was not afraid to put women in more danger than you normally see in action family movies with women as the leads.
Well, they're the action heroes, so yeah.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
I know
Like,
what
you
you're
never
talking
saw
about.
Wonder Woman get smashed in the face like that in the 70s TV show. Or I mean, you think of
What about Angelina Jolie though as Tomb Raider? I thought she took a lot of hits. And
This
but
is very visceral though. Like this one, it was
yeah,
like Seth and I, when we were watching it or commenting on it, we're like, this is like violence.
Yeah, it was
You
violent.
were commenting on that because
Yeah.
you're all soft and weak.
how
Yeah,
dare you?
I haven't been desensitized to Marvel's super violence yet. give me 70 hours and in a Red Bull and I'll
Yeah,
be back hardened.
And kind of to something I said earlier, that's where I kind of expected a bloodier movie.
Yeah.
They did keep it nice and tidy, and I don't know if trying to think of other examples, but I don't think Marvel ends up being all that bloody.
They
So-
went a little bit too far in removing the blood, I think. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in one of the first scenes where Yelena is hunting down the widow who's got the special gas, whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stabs her in the stomach,
Twist
twists
it.
the knife,
And then
rips
swipes
it
again.
out, and there's like no blood on the knife, and
Yeah.
she's like laying on the ground, and there's no blood.
There should have been a gigantic pool of blood, intestines hanging half out,
Yeah, that
you know.
That was
Yeah.
a Quentin Tarantino movie.
yeah, that was a bloody way to kill somebody without a drop of blood.
Yeah.
Like
that takes some skill.
that was Hercules, the TV show level of violence without actual violence on the TV.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
Well-
speed round, what did you like
Yeah.
about the movie, and why should people see it or not see it?
All right, I'll start. I liked it. I thought it was good entertainment. I like seeing the history of characters, where they come from, and kind of what brought them to where they are today. And I think this movie did a great job of portraying that, and also that sense of family. And I loved the Red Avenger. I love that guy, the actor that plays
The
it.
Red
Guardian,
Red
David
Guardian.
Harbour.
Red Guardian, sorry. I love the actor that plays that. He's also in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that come back here soon for the fourth, I think, and final season. But yeah, he's great in everything I see him in. So I liked it. I like Scarlett Johansson. I thought it was a good movie. All the actors in it were good. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. My favorite character out of there was the Red Guardian, and ultimately, watch it for the scene where he has to squeeze into the suit. That comes out there, puts his
The
hand on the
noises.
wall, and is like, yeah. What do you think? Still fits.
And
But
obviously, Melena's still into it.
Yes.
yeah. And so
I have
yeah,
not watched it.
Natasha and her sister at the table, like, ew, don't talk like that, please. The dialogue between the family is what did it for me in the movie, just because of the conflict and the bickering back and forth was pretty funny, regardless of all the action that was going on around them. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. It was very much a family reunites to take down the bad guy movie, regardless of how they want to kind of paint that picture. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a 8 out of 10 for me. It would have scored higher. I was hoping for more in the end, right? You get Natasha's big fight with the this half cyborg daughter of somebody that she thought she killed.
Taskmaster.
Yes, she thinks she killed that person and did not. I thought it was kind of underwhelming of a final battle there. So, Seth, to your point, they're falling through the sky. I was thinking, ooh, maybe a sky battle, as ridiculous as that would have been, And then they get to the ground, and it's just kind of an underwhelming final fight there. So, but other than that, I loved it.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good send-off for Natasha Romanoff's character. Just kind of a final farewell, because a
deserving one.
Yeah,
and she deserves that money.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Marvel's overdue for a female-led movie, and I thought this was pretty good. It was entertaining.
DC beat them to the punch, and I'm a little disappointed in them for that.
Say what?
They let DC beat them to the punch, and I'm a little disappointed in them for that.
Nobody like in the game of comic book movies, Marvel's still winning. They should have beat Marvel or DC to this punch.
Okay, Charles, what'd you think?
Well, this wasn't the first one. What am I talking about? Captain Marvel was
Right.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting about Captain Marvel? Anyway, aside from that, there was some cinematography there that was just underbaked. For like, someone should have fixed that cinematography.
Okay, Charles.
No, it was a good movie. It was. I saw it at the theater.
Nice.
The theater.
And
At the theater, yes.
Theatre.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good. You liked it?
Which is why I had the sniffles the last season, right? The last episode.
Oh no.
Probably.
Picked up something in the theater.
Yeah, I won't name the theater. No, it was fun. Matter of fact, I think I like this movie for the most part. I'd rank this higher than some of the other Marvel films. There've been a couple I've sat through that I feel like I've had to sit through. And this didn't feel. This didn't feel. This felt fun to me. A little. Actually, it's a little heavy on the identity crisis. but that's part of the character, I guess. But no, it was fun. It was fun. It was worth seeing. It was a nice. I don't know if it was a permanent go back to the movies, but it was a nice pretend to go back to the movies with.
Okay, great, Jenna.
I don't know.
Oh, definitely loved it. She's one of my favorite characters because she's fun and independent and thinks for herself. And like, she's the one who tries to stay in the background so people give her less credit, or what's the term? Gives her thinks she's less of a threat than she really is.
Oh,
and she plays that up. And I love how we finally got to see her in her full glory on its own. How clever, like she does not need anyone to save her.
right.
And what I do think is, even though they're closing her out, like with her sister, with the Red Guardian, we've got some new potentially awesome characters that are gonna maybe come back to the Marvel universe.
Cool. All right, Mark.
yeah, well, for me, I enjoyed the family part of it. I thought that was really cool. I like the message of it overall, to this group of people that are enslaved by somebody from birth. And then as soon as they're out of the chemical control, they're like, F this guy, we're done. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And the fact that even through all of that, you could tell that the widows were kind of forming like interpersonal bonds, right? Like where they would have that inclination to stop hurting each other as soon as they're not under the influence of this medication or whatever it is.
Right.
And so I don't know, I thought the movie overall, the action was kind of shot weird, but I tend to feel that way about movies, so it might just be me. I like to be able to follow the action, right? Where like you're not in one building, one place, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of guys in another place.
A bit choppy.
Yeah, and it's like I'd like to see someone run into that. Like a single shot from they're in this guy's office to over here, instead of like jumping to 5 different scenes and doing that. So it might just be how I see action, but overall the movie was good. I'd give it, if we're doing out of 10, I'd say 7 out of 10, and well worth the watch.
I'd say 8 out of 10. I didn't give my rating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I know we enjoyed all watching the movie, so check it. We encourage you to check it out and check us out on galacticdriftwood.space, where you'll find a lot of our other podcasts, and you may find something of interest there in the past. You can also check out our partner podcast groups on sinnation.net. And what's that?
We are part of the Synergy Nation Network.
We are. So check us out there as well, and check out our other podcasters. We got quite a variety of podcasts on there, so it's not all sci-fi. We've
got the Weekly Geekly. We've got the Russian Leg Sweep, which is a wrestling podcast.
Go RPGs, which is
RPGs,
role-playing games.
Good friend Benito.
Yep.
Another show.
Yeah. So anyway, check us out, and we hope to see you again for our next show. So take care. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.